feel like when my marriage was going downhill, we didn't have good communication. That's one thing I take full accountability is I had the worst communication. And I'm still working on it today. I think I've gotten...
Let's take a moment to talk about Catherine Paiz, the woman. Not the wife, not the other half of the Ace family, but her. The woman beneath the curated content and calculated thumbnails. Because underneath the YouTube fame and picture-perfect family, there was a woman quietly disappearing into a role she never fully chose. She became what was needed of her, what looked best, what kept everything smooth, until there was almost nothing left of her original self. And now that she's finally speaking up, it's not about the gossip, it's about the lesson. Because when a woman speaks after years of silence, we owe it to her to listen.
And I had to listen to that. And nobody knew I was pregnant. I was having my son. And I remember bawling and thinking, is this true? And even if it's not true, why are people saying this? This is like so detailed.
Catherine recently opened up in a podcast and in her memoir about what she lived through. And while yes, there was cheating, there were lies, that's not really the story. What really broke her wasn't some grand betrayal, it was something much slower, much quieter. It was the way her voice faded, the way her identity softened into something more palatable, the way her body stopped feeling like hers. And the worst part, she saw it happening, but she kept going. She said something that stopped me cold. I was never truly myself in that relationship. I was who I thought I needed to be to keep the peace, to protect the brand, and to protect my kids. And if you are a woman hearing that, I want you to really ask yourself, how often have you adjusted your tone, your words, your truth, just to make someone else comfortable? How often have you swallowed your needs just to keep an illusion alive? Catherine spent years being the supportive partner, the devoted mother, the consistent content creator. But somewhere in all of that, she disappeared. Not suddenly, but slowly. She didn't feel safe enough to express herself, not in her home, not in her relationship, not even in her own body. And here's where we have to understand the psychology behind it. Because what Catherine went through isn't rare. It's disturbingly familiar. So many women live it, but don't have the words for it. She wasn't being passive or weak. She was fawning, a trauma response that makes you over-accommodate, please, and pacify in order to avoid conflict. She was navigating emotional neglect where her needs weren't met, but she kept telling herself it was fine. She experienced identity loss, not in theory, but in real time. She became a function, the wife, the mother, the woman behind the brand, but she wasn't her anymore. And the most powerful part is that she stayed silent for years. And now she's choosing to speak. That's not just brave, that's a revolutionary. Because silence is how so many women survive. But truth, that's how we heal. And healing doesn't look like revenge. It doesn't look like throwing someone under the bus. Catherine didn't explode. She didn't expose. She didn't retaliate. She simply reclaimed. She took her voice back, and that is what real power looks like. You can love someone deeply and still lose yourself in the process. Loving without boundaries slowly becomes self-abandonment. Catherine gave up pieces of herself for the sake of keeping things together. And eventually there was nothing left to hold on to. Being a strong woman doesn't mean being quiet. It means choosing yourself even when it's messy, even when people won't understand. The real glow up, it's eternal. It's the way she speaks about herself now, the way she carries her worth, the way she protects her peace, that kind of transformation. No scandal, no status, no man can take that away from you. So if you're watching this and you felt like you were performing inside your own relationship, like you had to smile when you wanted to scream, stay when you wanted to run, and keep peace while silently breaking, hear this. You are not weak for staying. You are not broken for forgetting who you are, and you are never too late to come back home to yourself. Catherine's story isn't just hers, it's a mirror. And if she can return to herself after years of quiet survival, then so can you.